Hey everybody, it's Yasmin here. I've just realised I've got this groovy filter on, but it's not going to work for what I need to show you. So let me see if I can find a nicer filter. How is everybody? Just been chanting, which was really nice. That might be nice. How's that? Okay. Square up the camera. Oh, Facebook Live, here we are. All right. So today I promised that I would talk about the void of course moon. Who is ready for that? So we'll talk about what the void of course moon is, what it means, and then we will I'll show you how to tell when there is going to be a void of course moon, and then we'll do a card. Let me just see if I just can't see if anyone's comments, and I like to be able to see people's comments. So let me just, if I say hi, sometimes, there we go. Hi, Paula. Who's there? Hi, Andrea, Tatiana, Beverly. Oh, Beverly, you had COVID. Oh my God. I think I did too, but I'm not sure. Hi, Tracy. Sharon missed the chanting. Well, it was good chanting, actually. I started off with something in my eye that was just streaming like crazy and ended up being fine. So I'm going to attribute that to chanting. All right, so the void of course moon. I think we can start to talk about that now. Oops, I'm just going to try and, I'm not sure about that light. I've got a light there that's supposed to, anyway, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's things that you know about if you do Facebook Lives. You got to have nice lights, otherwise you look like a maniac. All right, so the void of course moon. So actually what I thought I would do is I would read to you something from my book Moonology, which I know many of you have. It's been in the Amazon astrology bestsellers lists now for, are you ready? More than 230 weeks. I actually worked that out a little while ago. I probably worked that out 3 months ago actually, so it would be more by now, which is quite incredible. And I did a podcast interview yesterday actually, which I'll link to when it goes live. But I was saying to her, and I was saying to Michelle Pilley, who heads up Hay House as well, UK, I was saying I actually think the thing was this book was perfectly timed because the divine feminine is rising. And oh my God, I could just go on and off on a tangent here now. I won't too much, but I will just say the wonderful Kyle Gray recommended a book the other day by Starhawk, if you know Starhawk, and it's called something like The Spiral Dance, and I started reading it last night in bed. And I just felt my heart just opening. So I have to thank Kyle for that. And it's amazing. That book was written in 1979, and then she did a 10-year edition in 1989. Then she did another one in 1999. And when you read about the development of the divine feminine, you know, through her lens of that 20 years on, and now it must be 40 years on, it's quite extraordinary to see how women are coming together and learning how to do all this stuff again. And, you know, I talk about it all the time. And, but when you read a book like that and you get that, perspective that Starhawk has about the last 20 years, and now we can look back on the last 40 years. And I said to Michelle, one of the reasons why this book has done and continues to sell so well, thank you everybody, because, you know, it's brilliant for me. I get to do something I love for work. You know, it's because it's the right time. We are all coming together as women now. And I always say my two favorite people in the world surely must be my husband and my son. Sorry, when I say that, I feel mean to my mum and my sister, but you know what I mean. Like, you know, they're very, very special to me, my husband and my son. And, you know, and they're men, okay? So I'm not anti-men in the slightest, but this is women's stuff, and we are all coming here together to learn this stuff, okay? We're coming together to learn this stuff. Karen says, what is the book by Starhawk called? I think it's called The Spiral Dance. Maybe on Monday I'll show you the book. I'll have read a bit more over the weekend, but it's an amazing book. Anyway, so let me tell you about the void of course moon. So the void of course moon is something that until, well, at one stage I had really only heard of it in terms of horary astrology, if you've heard of that. Oh dear, this is falling over. Oh my God. There we go. Sorry guys. And so horary astrology is an ancient art of astrology that people still do today, but basically what it is that you cast a chart for the moment that the question is asked and understood. And so, you know, back in the olden days, largely because people didn't know their birth time, okay? People didn't know what time, they didn't know what day they were born, let alone what time they were born. I'm really digressing a lot here today. I'll try and stay on track. But, you know, they would ask an astrologer, didn't have their time, date and place of birth, but they would ask a question and the astrologer would cast a chart for the moment that the question was asked and understood. And then they would divine an answer from that chart. And it works. And I know it works because I've done it myself. And so in horary astrology, there is a thing that if the moon is void of course in the chart, it means nothing will come of the matter. And in fact, if you have my moonology cards, there is a card in here which is the void of course moon, and the card says, if I can find it, which I probably can't, the card says nothing will come of the matter. There we go, there it is. Void of course moon, and it's probably backwards, isn't it? Because I always forget to turn this thing around, even though people write to me all the time to tell me how to do it. The void of course moon, nothing will come of the matter. All right, and then so I'd heard of it in horary astrology, and then I read a book called Secrets from a Stargazer's Notebook by Debbie Kempton Smith when I was learning astrology. And she was a big proponent of the void of course moon, and it immediately struck a chord with me. And so basically, I'll give you the official explanation of a void of course moon first. Okay, this is from Moonology. So what is a void of course moon? To answer this, I first need to give you some very basic information about astrology, okay? As you know, astrologers study the planets' movements, and what that means is that we study the angles or aspects that planets are making to each other, okay? So we're basically looking at how far away the planets are from each other in order to make some deductions that have been tested and tested and tested over thousands of years. So for example, when two planets are 90 degrees away from each other on the 360-degree wheel of the skies, because we look at the skies, you know, as a circle above us, they are said to be making a square when they're 90 degrees away from each other, okay? They're said to be making a square, which is a clashing angle or aspect that causes issues to come up to be dealt with. So, you know, like when Mars, the planet of anger, squares Sirius Saturn, you know, like it's kind of going to be because a square 90-degree angle is difficult. When two aspects are 60 degrees apart, they are said to be making a sextile, which is an easier aspect. A trine is 120 degrees apart and 0 degrees when the planets are in the same place at the same time, like at the time of the new moon. When you have the sun and the moon on the same degree of the zodiac, that's called a conjunction. When the planets are 180 degrees apart, that is an opposition, okay, which is challenging. So just understand that we measure how far away the planets are from each other, okay? And there are 5 main aspects which I just mentioned. So there's the conjunction, the sextile, the trine, the square, and the opposition. So with that said, there are 3 main definitions of the void of course moon, but I'm only going to bother you with one today, okay? I'm only going to bother with one. The moon doesn't make an aspect with any planet until it moves into the next sign of the zodiac, okay? It doesn't connect. It's not 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120 degrees or 180 degrees or right bang on any of the planets, okay? So the moon doesn't connect in any of those 5 ways with any planets before it changes signs. So basically what this means is, so the moon will be, say, I think today the moon, I'm not even sure where the moon is today. Has it moved? Oh, I can tell you because it's in my diary. So here we are. So looking at this today, the moon, what is it today? Is it January the 15th? Somebody tell me. Is it January the 15th? I have nothing. Oh yeah, okay, hang on, I've got a diary here. January the 15th, yes. So today, looking at, actually, the moon will go void of course today, okay? So this is my diary, for those of you who've got it. We're looking at today. So what you see here is you can see this little thing here, okay? So what you're looking at is there's the moon, which is it's there, the little moon, there's the circle, and we can see it was just new, okay? When it's all black, it's new, and when it's all just white, when it's a round circle with no colour in it, it's full. And you can see there are 2 little squiggles, which there is a key in the book for you to look at. The first squiggle, which is the one like the zigzags on top of each other, that is the symbol for Aquarius. You might have seen it. It's the symbol for Aquarius. 2 zigzags. And the one next to it is actually the symbol for, does anyone know? Pisces. Someone's saying they can't read that. I'm sorry. I can read it, so I don't know why you can't, but I'm sorry about that if you can't read it. Take it from me, in the diary, you'll see, if you've got the diary, open up to today, you'll see an almost black circle, which you know means that the moon has just stopped being new because of the side that the white is on. The Aquarius symbol and then the Pisces symbol, okay? And so what that tells us is that the moon is moving into Pisces today. So it tells us that the moon is in Aquarius and moving into Pisces today. Now, so the moon changes signs about every 2 and a bit days, okay? So every 2 and a bit days, the moon will go void of course. And in fact, the moon is void of course right now. We established that yesterday. The moon went void of course, at about 10 degrees of Aquarius yesterday. For reasons I won't go into right now. But what it means is that the moon is not going to make a conjunction, a sextile, a trine, a square, or an opposition, any of those connections, before it changes signs and moves into Pisces, which it's going to do tonight at around 10:30 p.m. UK time. Okay, so probably another 8 or 10 hours from now. Okay, so the moon is void of course today, so it's a really good day to take off if you can. I'm actually thinking I might take a bit of time off today. It's not a great day to start things when the moon is void of course, because what happens when the moon is void of course? Whatever you begin is said to bear no fruit. Nothing will come of the situation. Now, I have been known in the past to put my tax return in when the moon is void of course on purpose because I didn't want to go through the dramas of being audited. This was years ago, where I hadn't done anything illegal. If anyone from the tax office is watching, I hadn't done anything illegal. I just thought, you know what, I used to do my own tax returns. And so I remember it was like 2 in the morning and I think I was in London or Paris or somewhere. And I remember going to the post box at about 2 in the morning because the moon was void of course. And I just thought, I just don't want to be audited. I think my friend had just been audited. So, you know, whatever you start when the moon is void of course is said to bear no fruit. And well, touch wood, I haven't suddenly opened up a can of worms. This was probably about 10 years ago. You know, and I wasn't audited. Now, would I have been audited had I not posted it when the moon was void of course? I don't know. I don't even do my own tax returns anymore. My husband and the accountants do them. So I no longer have that luxury. But if you know, it's like, for example, just say if you had a phone call that you had to make and you really weren't looking forward to it and you thought that the repercussions might be rather nasty, then you would simply make that phone call when the moon was void of course, because whatever you do when the moon is void of course bears no fruit, especially if you're starting something new. So with the diary, if you have the diary, every time you see, like you've got today, 2 signs, okay, normally there's just one sign, the moon and a sign, the moon and a sign, the moon and a sign. Here, you've got 2 signs, which tells you the moon will be changing signs. And every time the moon changes signs, and, you know, barring the most very rare configuration of planets, which you really don't have to worry about, basically as a rule of thumb, whenever the moon changes signs, you're going to have a void of course moon period. So I would say, grab the diary. If you don't have the diary, we are selling out. It's the diary has nearly sold out. If you don't have your copy, you better grab it, because I've already had people from Canada. It's sold out in Canada, you know, who are upset because they can't buy it on Amazon anymore. So grab it, and you will come to my moon manifesting workshop for free. The link is above or below. And grab the diary, and then look and see, whenever you see, like here, the 2 signs, okay, you know the moon's going to be void of course. Now, if you're planning something and you want to know exactly when it is, your best bet is to go, okay, well, I can see the moon is going to be void of course today, and then just Google the void of course moon calculator and set it for wherever you are in the world, and it will tell you exactly when it is. But if you've got the diary and you know, it's just one, the moon doesn't have 2 signs, it just has 1 sign, like that, for example, where it's just the moon and a sign. If there's just 1 sign, it means the moon isn't going to go void of course that day. Okay, so that's a kind of a rule of thumb about how to tell when the moon is void of course. It's only when the moon is changing signs, and you're always going to have that period in the middle where the moon goes void of course, and you don't want to start anything new. The other thing I would say as well, it's kind of interesting. I remember I'd broken up. I don't know if I've told you about my very toxic relationship that I had 20 years ago or something, that was kind of, in a way, you know, the best and the worst thing that ever happened to me, because it kind of got me on this path. But I remember with that guy, like we went through a period where we'd broken up, and then I hadn't really kind of, you know, realized completely how bad he was, and I sort of was sad about what was going on and was kind of open to getting back together. Anyway, I remember one day he came up, and I was living in Bondi at the time, and I had a nice, I was in an apartment, an old 60s apartment with a view over the beach. It was really nice. And I remember seeing him walking up my driveway and thinking, oh my God, here we go. I knew he'd kind of be back, and here he is. And I remember looking at my watch or my phone or whatever and making a note of the time, because I thought I want to do a chart for this. Anyway, so later on, and we did get back together, and later on I did a chart, and I saw that when he walked up the driveway, the moon had been void of course. And so I knew then, I knew it wasn't going to last. I knew, because it was a reunion that was, already knew he was toxic anyway. I already knew the whole situation was no good. But when I saw that the moon was void of course, I knew that it wasn't going to last, and sure enough, it didn't. And he was the maniac who refused to allow me to do astrology. So there you go. So, can we do things to improve our life when the moon is void of course? Asks, let me see, I can't see your name. Maria. Yeah, so when the moon is void of course, what you need to do is you need to do things like meditate, do yoga, do chanting, which we did. Someone was saying, do we do chanting live? Yes, we do every day, Monday to Friday. You can come, it's free on my events page. Just sign up there and you'll get a reminder. We do it on Zoom. You know, it's a time to just be, you know, and not to try and push ahead. So the moon's void of course right now. So if there's any way you can, you know, just relax, do it. So I hope that makes sense. I will eventually create a little mini workshop to teach this a bit better. There's lots of workshops I want to create. It is also included in my big Hay House Moonology course. We did teach about it in there. So shall we do a card? Shall we do a card? Who's for a card? So I'm really looking forward to doing my workshop, which I'm going to be talking about manifesting in 2021, moon manifesting in 2021. We're going to talk about all the eclipses. We're going to talk about the moons. It's going to be exciting. We're going to talk about the overall energies. And also, it'd be funny if the, oh, okay. I was going to say funny if the void of course moon came up. Also, we are, what was I going to say? Anyway, the workshop's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll put up a page about it in the next couple of days. And remember, if you already have my diary or if you buy it before it sells out, you get free access. Or you can pay $25, but that's actually more expensive than the diary. So you might as well buy the diary and get it for free, in my humble opinion. And you'll be able to tell when the moon is going void, of course, or at least what day it's going void, of course. And, you know, just even if you just use that as a rule of thumb, if you see, okay, the moon is changing signs today, I better check what time because I've got that meeting, you know. All right. Once you start to work with the moon, the void of course moon, it becomes quite interesting quite quickly. Okay. I know what this card is, and it's really, really a good one. So who wants it? Ruth says, I need to understand the symbols, okay? And she needs a workshop. You actually don't need a workshop. Here, I've got the symbols in the diary. The the symbols they are kind of important to learn when you're learning astrology. Like, I probably could have just put the words in there, but there's just something about the symbols. They're redolent with, you know, thousands of years of use. And so I wanted to, I couldn't imagine just putting moon in Leo, you know, like you have to use the symbols. And those of you, when I was talking about the Starhawk book, you know, this is stuff that goes back millennia that we're tuning into. And I think it almost diminishes it not to do it properly. So I do it properly. But we do have all the symbols there. All right, all the symbols are there. So then when you know, like today we saw, it's moving from squiggly line into funny little thing with two backwards brackets with a line through the middle. Well, then you'll quickly learn that the zigzags is Aquarius and the backwards thing is Pisces. And it will all make sense. If you really want to get into astrology, you have to learn the symbols. It will take you an afternoon. Just practice, practice, practice. All right? Okie dokie. So I have a card here, and it's very good. So this is for everybody. So ask your question. Ask your question in your head, silently or out loud, or in the comments. I will give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Here is your answer. Woohoo! A new start is coming, which is a great card. So basically, this card keeps coming up actually. So I think that even though we all feel a bit SHIT at the moment of being locked in, those of us in England anyway, you know, things are changing, not necessarily with lockdown, but with us, with the people that we are. Like, I really felt last night, I know it sounds crazy, but when I was reading that Starhawk book, I was like, wow, I could just feel I was meant to read this on my path. And I'm kind of glad I didn't read books like that earlier in a way, because I think maybe I would have been so humbled that I would never have written, you know, my own books. All right. There is a yes coming your way. This is one of the most auspicious cards in the deck. It's totally positive and suggests something new and exciting is developing. A new start is on the way. You will soon feel more hopeful about what you want. Forget about the past. So there we go. So I'm going to leave it there. If you've just joined us, you've missed a big long rave about the void of course moon. So watch it again from the beginning. I explained how using my diary, you can use these symbols in here and you can see, oops, no, not there. When there's only one symbol, just to sum it up, like here, for example, my eyes are so bad these days here. So like here, for example, there's just the moon and the symbol. It means the moon isn't changing signs. If the moon isn't changing signs, then the moon is not void of course that day. All right, I hope that helps. I hope you all have a bloody marvellous weekend, and I hope to see you on Monday. Lots of love.